Here is my audience for my speech on crochet, and I am going to pass off the camera to my husband. Alright, so hi, I'm Jessica, and I'm going to give you all a speech on crochet today. So how many of you have ever seen these fun crochet shorts and thought that they'd be awesome to make for somebody? I thought they would be fun. I haven't tried them yet, but I think I'm going to make a pair for my son one day.
Nuh-uh, not happening. I'm not wearing them.
And so I've been crocheting for about 15 years now, and I've made and given away or sold probably hundreds of items now since I've been crocheting. About 6 years ago, when me and my husband lived in Japan, I'd gotten really sick when we flew back, and I was sick with like strep throat, pneumonia, bronchitis all at once. I couldn't work for about a month. So I decided I'd crochet hats, and I kept crocheting hats. So in that month I probably made about 150 to 200 hats, and then I didn't know what I was going to do with them. So I went back to work, and I'd worked at an arts and crafts center, and while there I seen that they were going to be doing a craft fair, and I was like, oh, well, that sounds like a good way to get rid of all these hats. And I was like, here's my $5, I'm signing up for a table. And I was shocked that by the end of that craft fair, I walked out of there with close to $2 grand from selling my hats.
Wow.
And so that's kind of where I began. I learned from a friend of mine in Washington State. And so whether you're looking to make cash or keep your hands busy or do that, crochet could be a hobby for you. And so I want to talk to you first about the history of crochet, then what the difference is, or what crochet actually is, and then the difference between what crochet and knitting are, because they're different. So a little bit about the history. There's several interesting facts according to crochet.org. So for instance, the modern art of crochet that we know now, it was developed around in the 16th century, but it's not really, doesn't have a really defined date of when it actually started. And so, but probably some of the first known crochet pieces were probably done around in the 1500s actually. And it was done under the name of nuns' work, because it was made by nuns to be in church for church textiles. And another example would be that it helped the Irish people in Ireland go through the potato famine, which lasted from about 1840 to 1845. And that so families of men, women, their children, they'd all crochet to make the lace collars and cuffs to be sold, and then would sell them to get their families through to survive. And then, so now that we've learned a few facts about the history, what actually is crochet? So according to thespruce.com, crochet is a needlework technique performed using crochet hooks plus a fiber of your choice. So typically that's going to be yarn or thread, but it can also be an unconventional material such as I've seen people use fabric scraps or plastic bags to make rugs, for like outdoor rugs. And then also according to thesprucecrafts.com, a main goal of crochet is to make a project that either benefits you or is useful to you in some way, or just makes you feel inspired to make something. And so some of the basic stitches so now learning a little bit about some of the basic stitches of crochet. All of your crochet objects are going to have a foundation row. This is done by chaining your yarn. And if you guys want to look at what a chain stitch is, this is what a chain stitch is. Moving on from there, you have a single crochet, which I used a big hook so that way you could see the stitches. So this is a foundation row plus 2 rows of single crochets. And then this one is a foundation round and 2 rounds of double crochets to make patterns. And then, so on knitting, so crochet has multiple variations of stitches where knitting only has typically 2 stitches that are going to be used in in knitting. So they only have the knit and the purl, where there's many stitches in crochet that you can alter to make various patterns. And so, I'm getting stumbled here. So from there, learning about that, crochet, the biggest differences in crochet and knitting is knitting uses 2 needles, where crochet uses 1 hook. They both use yarn or fiber. To me, crochet is a lot easier because you're one hand with your material and your hook, where knitting you're looping all of your material onto your hook and you just work back and forth. And crochet, you crochet to one end, you chain up, and then you turn and go back. In knitting, you don't do that. Knitting's much less forgiving than crochet is, that if you drop a stitch, you can unravel your entire work because it's more delicate and fine. And so some of the differences are that, even just looking at this book, for example, on the pictures, this over here on the white would be a knitting of dropping, and this is a crochet, where you can kind of see more variations in the stitches on there. So in conclusion, I hope you've learned a little bit about crochet and the history of crochet and what it means to crochet and how knitting and crochet are different. So if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time.
Nope,
Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so
That was
much.
awesome.